Well, we're hiking on up into here where my goat hunt's at. We did want to come in from the top, but a fire closed off the top end of it, so we have to come in from the bottom. It's going to be about 10 miles and probably 6,000 to 7,000 feet at vertical elevation that we're going to have to gain by the time we get in there. Got the llamas back here behind me. It's beautiful country. This is day one. It's a Monday. We'll probably come out next Monday, so we'll be in here a week. Go ahead and pan around up here and we can look up the drainage that we're going to be going up. Yeah, that creek there on the left with the little canyon in it. Well, I guess it isn't a little canyon. It's what we're going to go up. The trail's down here and then it crosses up there. And it's nothing but up. On the top end of it there's glacial lakes and little bowls and stuff. And I'm guessing that that's where the goats are going to be at. Down to where the creek that I want to hunt off of comes into the main creek that we went in on. You can hear the water running down there. Ron's down filtering some water right down here below us. Actually, he's coming up here. But we've been hiking for about 6 hours, and we're probably maybe halfway, if not even. We'll go up here and go up another mile or so and then find a good place to camp. It's evening, first night. We're in, getting camp set up. We were attempting to go down another trail, and it was on the Forest Service maps but not on the BLM maps, and when we got over there there's an old trail, but it's pretty much non-existent. There's the llamas. So we're going up the main trail. It's not exactly the best maintained thing in the world, but got the llama lines all strung up and they're eating contentedly. Come here, boy. He's over there munching. There's a lot of currant bushes in here and they're eating that and the grass, and life is good. We're right in by the creek. About the only level flat spots right in the middle of the trail, and given the usage we're pretty sure there ain't going to be anybody in here. It's pretty remote and pretty darn rugged. Look at that. Nothing but rock, which is good goat country. I just think they're going to be higher. Well, it's the morning of day 2, and that's the drainage that I was going to try to go up right there. And in the bottom of it, according to the Forest Service map, there should have been a trail, and it was supposed to link in way back down in here and come up. We found the head end of an old trail that had been improved, but it hasn't had any work done on it in who knows how many years. It's, for all intents and purposes, really doesn't exist. And I had thought about going up and trying to get up on that ridge and go up, but there really isn't any practical way to do that either. So the other thought was to keep packing up the creek here, the main creek, up this way, and get in and come in on the top end of that. But that is probably another 10 miles, and it's taken us a day to get this far. So there's at least another 2 days up into there, and as warm as it is, if I get anything down in there, it would be spoiled before I ever got it out of here. So this trip here was, I saw some spectacular country, and that's all beautiful goat country right in there, and the area back behind me on the hill we're on is exactly like it. So there's hundreds of square miles of wonderful goat habitat, ranging all the way from 9,000 feet down to the river down here. That's why the goat population is so good in here. But it's exceptionally rugged. Beautiful, but rugged and hard to get around in. My strategy is going to be, from here on out, I'm not going to count on any trail that ain't on every map, because this creek right up here. You can see it's real brushy in the bottom, and after 30 years of non-maintenance on that trail, it's overgrown and there's no way you can drag a pack animal through it. So I'm going to go try a different spot that I don't think is going to be as good, but with the fire closing off the top end and
day after
this
hiking out, I'm exhausted.
Really isn't a way to
Llamas
get in
are
there.
exhausted.
No
And to add to it, we were probably 3/4 of the way out coming down the last bit. We'd seen one rattlesnake up on top that was off the edge. And this snake was kind of off to the side of the trail, and boy, the white llama behind me heard him, and he cut up around me and runs right over top of the thing. And it bit him. He seems to be okay. It bit his left back leg. I mean, I probably should have just took my walking stick and smashed it into paste before that happened, but I mean, the llama was right on top of it. It was a little snake, probably only 1.5 feet long. And I was able to pull him from over top of him, and luckily he didn't bite Cookie, the brown llama. And he seems to be okay now, and I'm going to take him home and watch him for a couple days and see how he's doing. But then when we're coming down after that, I saw 2 more rattlesnakes. Boy, the place is just full of them. It was a pretty rough 5 miles. It felt like a lot more than 5 miles. But in this country, 5 miles is a lot. It's not flat. But I'm going to get back, watch him for a couple days, make sure he's okay, and then if he is, take Cookie and Oreo, his brother, and go back up to another place where I can get up on top and try to find me a goat. It isn't the place I want to hunt because of the fire, but without the fire being out, that's what I have to do if I want to get in here and hunt. Well, boy seems to be okay. Bit by a rattlesnake. I went down and talked to our local veterinarian and about what had happened, and the fact that there was no swelling in his ankle meant that the rattlesnake didn't inject very much venom, if any. And he seems to be okay, but I'm going to have him sit out this trip and not pack in. I'm going to take the Oreo and Cookie in with me when I go back up, which I'm going to go back up later on today, and let Boy recover. He was pretty out of shape and sore. That was the first pack trip for either one of those llamas, so they're pretty green, inexperienced, and packing up behind the hill back here with weight on them just doesn't prepare them for the deepest gorge in North America and an all-day pack. But we'll get Boy back out later on in the season. But we'll get up and check out the fire area and then go west of it where there is one access point. Those mountains right over there. The high peaks are real rocky ones. Is where I was trying to walk to when we were down in the bottom of that creek. They're probably 3 to 5 miles as the crow flies from where we are right now. But there's a very deep canyon in between here and there. You can see the smoke from the fires. The fire is right over on the other side of those real high peaks that you can see off in the distance, down the other side and burning up this way. That's why they're closed off. And there's a little raghorn bull we saw over there, just kind of hanging out. Maybe he's a little bigger than a raghorn, but not by much. Still haven't seen any goats, but Yeah, bull elk's cool.
Well, we found a goat. He's probably about a mile or so over here, down off one of these finger ridges. I've glassed everything back behind us and all this stuff, and there's one out there, and I saw some other thing that it was white, and I thought it was a goat, but it was shaped more like a wolf down in this draw down here. So we're going to set the spotting scope up and see if we can tell how big the goat is. It's bedded down off of that rocky point there. And we'll see how big it is, and then probably take a hike down across this ridge and get above it and look at it even better.
Well, that goat is right there in the middle of the screen. Just a little white spot. He's bedded out there. It's probably a mile to a mile and a half, maybe even a little further over there. We're gonna hike down a ridge and try to get above him and get a lot better look at him and see how big he is. Because from here, there's, even with a spotting scope, there's no real easy way to tell. Just too far. So we're gonna hike on over there and take a look at him and try to decide how big he is. Yeah, it's not a very big animal though. Give me those binoculars. If I was archery hunting and he was big enough, he'd be dead. Well, there's a little goat that we walked all the way over here for. Looks to me like a billy, just a real young one. Oh, we got a good look at him anyway, huh? Yeah, we spotted this goat from probably 2 miles away and hiked in here. Stand there looking at us. Yeah, I didn't even know we were here when we first got in here. Well, we hiked in here and Frank spotted him walking between 2 trees just over here behind us. Then we came over to this point and spotted him right here below us, and then he came up to the right and went up there. Seems irritated by our presence.
It's been about 2 weeks since we were in here earlier. We were down below this creek that's down here, about probably 6-8 miles downstream. And the fire is over that ridge right there. You can see the smoke coming up. The fire closure is still going on. It's in about 8 to 10 days. The weather forecast is for some rain to move into here and hopefully put that fire out so that fire closure will end so we can get over into this country from the upper end there. This stuff here looks like some decent goat habitat. It's not extremely rugged, but it's still pretty rocky, and it's rockier than the area that we found the other small goat in 2 weeks ago. So far I've been glassing for probably an hour to an hour and a half, and I haven't seen anything yet, but that stuff up in there looks a lot more rugged. I've glassed it from here, but we're going to go ahead and go down across this saddle here and over into that country and probably camp over there tonight. And I'll glass all that stuff up and then the stuff up above it as well, and see if we can find a goat in here. I would expect to see some elk and mule deer and other stuff in here too. When we were coming up this morning, we jumped some blue grouse, and the llamas had never seen that before, and they startled and freaked out and ran around a little bit. And then right above them there was a group of several does and fawn mule deer. Pretty neat day. It's a beautiful day. It's actually a little bit warmer up in this high elevation than I had expected, but that's okay. I'm sure tonight I won't.
We got into where that we wanted to set up camp at. There's quite a little bunch of elk down here below us. Right there, maybe. Is that a bull? Yeah, that's a bull. Can't tell exactly how big he is, but there's the bull. He actually looks like a pretty decent animal, I think. Well, it's day 2 in here after second week. Done a lot of glassing. All this country back behind me here. And I saw one raghorn bull back over this way over here, and no goats. There was a fire that came through here in 1988. Burned a lot of the stuff out of here, and anywhere that the fire went through, the deciduous bushes are gone. And I'm pretty sure that with the deciduous bushes being gone, the deer can't make a living, and I suspect that the goats can't either, because there's a lot of, like right back over in here, back behind me now, there's all kinds of really good looking rock, but not much feed. All there is these red bushes back in here, and I don't think anything eats them, and then there's grass, and elk will eat that. But I'm gonna go down and get camp packed up and get out of here, and attempt to, hopefully the fire will go out and then I can get back in here behind me. Those peaks back there, I need to be over there on them and on the other side of them. Well, here's camp. It is October 16th, and today the Forest Service lifted the fire restriction on the area to get back in there where I want to goat hunt. I have to work the next 4 days, and then I'm off for 3 weeks to go back in there and try to get my goat. So we'll have to get the boys back there tuned up and get them ready to pack back in and get in my goat. First, we're going to go back in and set up, and I'm going to try to harvest that bull that I got, the nice one on video that I got about a week ago. So fire restrictions lifted. Finally, it started burning like around the 10th, 8th, 9th, 10th of September, so it's been burning a little over a month. And I had about a week before the fire started that I could have went in there and hunted, but I didn't have any time off. So finally, when I got my time off, the fire was burning and I couldn't get back in there where the good goat habitat is. The risk is that there's going to be snow on those peaks. I was back there in 2010 trying to elk hunt back in that stuff, and on the 25th of October that year there was 3 feet of snow on the passes and we barely got out of that country. But I'll have to take that into account and deal with whatever comes my way and try to get me my goat. It's the 23rd of October. We just drove in here to where I wanted to try for that bull elk at. And we had planned on packing back in, but we got in here and there was probably 3 to 4 inches of snow we got in here, and it was snowing really hard. And it snowed up to, oh, it's probably 8, 9 inches now deep. And it suddenly quit, and the sky got beautiful and blue, and now we're going to head back in and hike back in and see if we can find that bull. We've still got today and tomorrow, and then Thursday, which is the 25th, is when the season opens. And we'll go back in there. I don't know if this is enough snow to move those elk out of there or not. We'll have to go back in there and see if we can find them, and if they move down, then it'll be time to back out of here and try to make a run over to get into the area where the goats are at. But it is absolutely spectacular up here. Just when the sunlight came out and this beautiful blue sky and the contrast between the trees and the mountains and the snow and the sky, it's just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. It's kind of funny, it went from summer 2 weeks ago, it was probably 75 to 80 degrees in here, and now it's, I don't know, 25 degrees with wind and snow, and we're not even in the high stuff. Well, the llamas are back here digging through the snow, eating grass, contentedly munching away. It is absolutely beautiful up here. The sun's just going down, and the trees and the snow. There's fog or clouds or whatever rolling over there. That's where I wanted to go glass, but it's about dark, and as soon as I saw that, I pretty much knew I was done. The bull is back behind me where that elk was. I just hope that he's still there. Places on the way up here that were probably a 2.5 feet deep drifts, so there's definitely some snow. I'm hoping it warms up. Day 2, life in the teepee. Ron is packing his stuff up and getting ready to head out, and then I gotta go down
Hilton Hotel.
Yeah. Gotta go down and pick Jeb up, and I'm also gonna get some certified weed-free hay for the llamas. Usually I don't have to get anything for them, but or digging down through 6 to 8 inches, maybe even a little more snow is getting a little tough for them to get enough to eat. And it's cold up here to boot, so got to get them a little more feed, because that ain't gonna do it. I'll get down, get jabbed, figure out where I can get some certified weed-free hay for the llamas, and then get back up here. Tomorrow's opening day. Ron's gonna go ahead and pack it up and head back down to the valley, and hopefully we can get in and find that out tomorrow. I went down and I attempted to find some certified weed-free hay, and that was an exercise in futility. What I ended up doing, I went to the Forest Service office, went to all the feed stores, and then they got me in touch with the agricultural extension office down in Council. And the thing that the lady ended up finding out was that you can use pelletized food because the processing to make it into pellets involves heat and it'll kill any weed seed. So what I ended up doing was getting pelletized alfalfa, and met Jeb in town there, and then we went over to a friend of ours, Jack's, for lunch, and now we're back up here, and I gave the llamas some pelletized alfalfa, or alfalfa pellets, and the Cookie brothers are contentedly munching away, and boy, the white llama's pretty sure that stuff isn't food. He certainly doesn't want to eat any of it. Instead, he's eating pine needles. He's avoiding the pelletized alfalfa, which is kind of odd to me, and the Cookie brothers, I think they think it's kind of odd too. I know that the guy that I got them from gave them grain. Well, I am standing at the edge of that glacial cirque where that nice bull was at, and you can see what the weather's like. There isn't any glassing. There was one little moment earlier in the day where it cleared up and there was some sun, but that has since passed. And as heavy as it's snowing, I think I'm going to go ahead and pack it up on out of here, go back to camp. So it gets whiteout condition like this, snows my tracks in, it'll be a lot harder to get out of here. So I better get going. Didn't really get a chance to evaluate this nearly as good as I'd like, but the weather is what the weather is. Today is October 25th, opening day for bull season. And up here on there's a pass right here just to my left, and then behind the camera there's probably 1.5 feet of snow or better on that. It's snowing pretty good. Well, there's a billy that we saw up on the hill. There's about 7 goats up there. They're way up there, and it's in some nasty stuff. We're down low. Yesterday we hiked back into that bowl back in there where that bull was at, and there was 1 foot to 1.5 feet of snow in there, and the elk had cleared out. And we went up and tried to get in from the top end, and it was also way too much snow. There was probably 3 feet of snow on the top. So we might have been able to get in over that pass with the truck, but more than likely we wouldn't have got out. But down low, the goats are in here. I never would have guessed, but I guess the weather did push them down. And there is quite a little group of them in there. I don't know how big any of them are, but it looks like there's probably 3 billies just up in this stuff. And we saw one nanny with 2 kids. Actually, I think there's 4 billies in there. Yeah, there's another one of those goats. There's quite a lot of them up there. And one coming up from behind. Well, it's getting kind of late in the day. It's like 4:30 p.m., so it'll be dark in a couple hours. And the last thing I want to do is to get caught up in that stuff when it's getting dark. We're going to go down the road and glass some more up in here and see what kind of goats we can see
down further. There's still a couple of miles before the habitat gives out in here. But I do not want to get up in that nasty stuff when it's dark, or be coming out of there in the dark. But yeah, they're right down here, down low. Well, it is the 30th of October, and got in here down low, got camp set up, and I went up the road and glassed up and looked for those goats that we saw a couple days ago, and they were still there. Not as many, but it's warmed up and the snow level is quite a bit higher. So I think they've probably moved up a little bit. Some of them have, but a lot of them are still down low. So tomorrow, which is Halloween Day, I'm gonna get up pretty early and get up on the hillside as soon as it's light, and then try to find out how big those goats are. I know that there's definitely nannies and kids, but I'm pretty sure there's billies sprinkled in the middle of them too. But time to make this happen. I've been hunting these things since the middle of September. It's now the end of October. I have till the 12th of November to get my tag filled, and I've got the time off. If I can't find a nice one in that area, I'm gonna probably pack back in to the first place that we went into down in there by that creek, because as late as it is with the weather that we've had, they should be getting pushed down in there too. And I glassed that hillside up above that, and I saw a nanny and a couple of kids way up high. So I may pack down into there and then hike up onto that rocky hillside that I have video of from way back in September. Well, happy Halloween. There's a goat perched out on a sheer rock face, and I can tell you that's definitely scary to me. That goat is completely safe from any threat from me there. And there's probably several hundred feet of air in between the top or the bottom, and nothing but vertical rock. Pretty neat, but I saw probably about 5 of them feeding up below him and up more. Since the snow melted back, it got warm. We had a little Indian summer thing going on, and the goats have moved up higher out of here. There was probably 20 of them in here a few days ago, and then it warmed up and the snow melted up, and they've been moving up slope. So I'm gonna have to walk up a little bit higher. After I got the footage of the Halloween goat that was perched out on that rock cliff, I went ahead and hiked up into Hell's Canyon, trying to make a big loop up around the top end of those goats and get up above them. And by 4 o'clock I'd hiked up quite a ways, but there was still another 1,000 feet that I needed to go. I couldn't cut over to the left and get above them like I'd wanted to, because it was sheer rock and it just wasn't safe to go in there. So at 4 I decided that I'd better hike back down and try to get down somewhere near my vehicle at the bottom before it got dark. And I got down there about an hour after dark, with the last hour being with my headlamp. And I decided then that I needed to find a better way to get in there, and I thought maybe I could come in from the top. So I went ahead and went home and looked at Google Earth and figured out a way to get in there from the top. The other thing that little hike made me realize, that even though I'd brought my llamas in there to pack with, the country was just too cliffy and too rugged, with sheer cliffs all over the place, and taking pack animals in there of any kind just was not a good idea at all. So I realized that everything that I did in there was going to have to be on foot. So I got a hold of Frank, and Frank agreed to go in there and go in with me. And we went back and spent the night at my camp down at the bottom on the 1st, and then the morning of the 2nd we got up, had breakfast, and drove up around the top end and got up there to the trailhead before first light, and we were hiking down the trail in the dark in the morning and got right to the start of the top edge of that ridge that the goats were on, and from there it was just down, down, down. But as soon as we got there was a goat just over from us, and that is the footage that this next video clip starts at.
Well, it is November 2nd, and we hiked in here and got in on the top, and there's a pretty good billy there. I'm looking him over with the spotting scope to see if I can figure out exactly how big I think he is. He goes over here, you can see us. Doesn't really seem to care though. Yeah, we're guessing him at 7 or 8 inches. He's a decent animal, he's just not a Mongolian monster. Right on the other side of him is where the really good habitat starts at, and the drainage where I saw all those other goats in. So we're going to get over there and start looking. He's not a bad animal, and he's awful close. It'd be an easy pack out of there, but I'd like to see if there's something
There's
bigger
another
in
billy. He doesn't look like he's quite as big as the one we passed up on the ridge up here, and one horn shorter than the other one. I hope I don't regret passing that shot. I hope I don't, because that would have been awfully easy. And hopefully we'll find one bigger. This guy looks like he's got good mass, and he's big-bodied animal. His horns just look like they're a little shorter.
Well, there's a couple of mountain goats that we spotted just over from us. The one facing us is definitely a billy. I can't tell about the one on the other side that's facing away, and then to the right below him there's a mama and a baby. It looks like the one back behind has longer horns. I just can't tell if it's an Annie or a billy. This one in the front definitely has thicker horns. Just need to figure out if that's a billy over on the other side. If it is, it just may be a shooter. Well, another goat. Right in on top of him. He's probably 30 yards away, maybe. Just a little teeny guy. I thought he was bigger than that, but he doesn't look very big now. There's an Annie. That's pretty funny. There's an Annie. And there's that little billy. Oh, that's hilarious. Hi, little buddy. How are you? I thought that thing was a lot bigger. Boy, he's a dink. And he's about 20 feet away. Had enough of us, though, I guess. There's an Annie. They're about half tame, I think.
There's my goat. We thought it was recording, but it wasn't, and he is definitely dead. We're gonna go down there and get him. I shot him up on the hill right up here, and he rolled from about there down to there, and he is positively dead. We'll go down there and take a little better look at him and get some more video. off a bit of stuff on the way down.
Yeah, that is nice looking. We'll zoom in on him.
Not bad. Well, there's my goat. Pretty neat looking animal. It's actually fairly big. I'm not sure how long those are, but didn't bring my tape measure. It's a pretty animal. A little dust there. And it's the 2nd of November, and it's about 3:30, 3:40. It's a little bit before 4, and we're a long ways up here. It's going to be a late one, and we got a pretty good idea of how to get out of here safely. There's a decent little path down here, but. And thank you, Frankie, for being crazy enough to come in here with me. That's good Billy. Pretty good Billy. Yeah, he scuffed up one of his horns here when he tumbled down off of that and came sliding down here. I was hoping he wouldn't fall, but he did. He probably fell 30 feet anyway, but he's still a pretty good goat. Pretty good goat. And now my once in a lifetime goat is done and taken to the taxidermist, and I'm 43 years old, and I just don't think I have a whole lot of this left in me. I mean, this is some extremely tough country. And it's just vertical. These things do not live in flat land at all. Yeah, he's a good Billy.
It's 9 p.m. and we've made it down, I don't know, maybe 25% of the way from where I shot that goat down the road, and we've came to a point where it looks like there's a cliff below us, and we got a little fire built, and we're gonna spend the night out here and wait till the morning and pick our way down off of this thing. I've got a pack that weighs probably 120-30 pounds, and coming down this steep grade with that is not any fun. But we'll get out of here tomorrow. Well, Frankie, we are packing out of here, and this is the stuff we're packing out of.
Crazy stuff.
Oh yeah.
Nice and pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but you kill a goat in this stuff, and you pretty much earn it. And there's where we're going down right there. Be walking on big huge boulders, avalanche chute at about a 45-degree angle all the way down almost. So it's going to be a slow, precarious hike. Right up on the other side of that cliff there is where I killed that goat at. So we've dropped quite a bit. Still got quite a bit to drop though. Pack out continues. And there's what we're packing down. I'm glad we're not packing up it. How about you, Frankie? You glad we're not packing up that?
Oh yeah, I've been probably still quarter way
ways up the hill.
It's rough. There's the goat on his way down. Way up there. We're probably a half mile down from where I shot him, maybe even a little more, and it's all exactly like that up there. Well, it's November 4th, 2 days after I shot my goat up here on the hill behind where I'm standing. And back in camp, I took my goat down to the taxidermist and took the meat down and all that stuff, and the llamas and part of camp. So now I'm back up here. Spend the night tonight and get the camp packed up and get it out of here, and goat hunt will be done. A few of the details that may have gotten left out whenever Frank and I went down in there and got on those goats. When the goats that I was videoing right before I shot the goat, there was 2 of them up on a rock that were bedded, and what we did is we snuck around above them and then tried to come in on the top of them, but the wind was kind of wrong. And when we got down in there, there was a nanny and a kid sitting up on this one rock, and then below them, over this cliff edge, I saw a goat. I went over there and looked, and it was a little tiny billy, and I videoed some of him, so you got some of that. And then to the right of him was a nanny, and the cliff was only about 15 feet high, maybe 20, and there were other goats down there that I didn't know. And then I saw another nanny down there, and we were standing there, and I was kind of chuckling and laughing, and all of a sudden these 2 billies were also down there. They ran up on the hill to the right of us and was standing up there. Frank had the camera, and I saw the one was a pretty decent billy, and I told Frank, you know, get the camera on him. And I go, is it on him? Yeah. Is it recording? Yeah. Well, I'm going to take him. I shot, and he goes, ooh, I didn't get it. And I'm like, oops, whoops. But, yeah, missed it. But after we spent the night out of there, we had packed down for about 2 hours before we had made the fire and spent the night. And then we got up the next day at 8, and we were packing down that avalanche chute that you have the 2 footages of for about 8 hours. We got down there about 4. So it was about a 10-hour pack out of there, and that was rough. That's the hardest hunt I've ever been on, pack-wise. And getting old enough that it hurt pretty good. And I'm glad it's all done, and glad I've only got one of them to shoot, because that was a pretty tough hunt. That's about it. End of my goat story.